So, WaverCD, thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. It's wonderful to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, sweetie. It's glad to be here.
You called me sweetie! Oh, that's so charming of you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's start this off with something basic and introductory. How did you get started into voice acting and voice acting in the not safe for work side of things?
Oh, it's a long story, I suppose. It all began way back in middle school. I'd say is probably when it really started materializing for me that I was into like acting and performance. I joined theater in middle school and high school. I was lucky enough to have a theater in middle school. um, but even at a really young age, I was always really into animated programs and just really soaking in the performances of the characters on the screen. And even in movies with actors, I would often try to imitate the performances or a scene I liked in particular. And it kind of evolved from there over time. I never really thought of it much as a career at that point, but as I went through high school, I really enjoyed acting. And then it got to college where I went to animation and I went for an animation degree. And while I was doing that, I kind of shifted away from that side of my interests because it was all evolving more into like a 3D CGI kind of deal. And I was more of a pen to paper kind of 2D person. So I kind of shifted gears, started pursuing an audio video editing degree instead. And during that, there was a class we took where there was a project we had to do where we had to take a scene from a show. I went with a scene from Breaking Bad, which was one of my favorite shows at the time. And I had to voice characters in the scene and then edit everything together. And it was during that project where I kind of really realized that, hey, this is really fun just doing the voiceover stuff. I should look into this as a career because I know that people do this for a career and stuff like that. So it's what I did. I started pursuing avenues online and eventually found sites like Voice Acting Club, what used to be like Voice Acting Alliance or whatever. And I was dabbling with doing freelance stuff through that, mostly just for free. I wasn't like an experienced voiceover person at that point. I was just getting started doing people's personal projects and voicing and stuff like that. And I just kept evolving from there. I kept honing my skills. And at some point, it just kind of segued into me actually pursuing more paid work for that. And I felt like I got to a point where I was really efficient or at least good at what I did to a degree. And, it took off from there. I also eventually got an agent in my area, which I do radio voiceover work in. Well, he helps me get work like that. Unfortunately, not much else than that around my area. Occasional commercial work, but it's not a very big city for voiceover, like say Chicago or New York or LA would be. But I still enjoy whatever I can get. But a bulk of my stuff I do through outlets online, for sure. As for the not safe for work stuff, it kind of evolved alongside of it. I've always been a very openly sexual person, not in the sense that I'm like going around advertising it per se, but that it's a big part of who I am. And very much, I guess, elements of it could be considered a hobby for me too. I mean, well, definitely so. I just find sex and just sexual expression to be such a huge part of who a person is. And it's such a wonderful way to express interests with each other or particular like intimacy. And it obviously has the very straightforward benefit of just being awesome, I suppose. But
I can attest to that.
no, it's a big part of who I am, I suppose. And early on, even in middle school for me, I was always kind of battling with my sexuality, identity, or whatever you want to call it. And it was in early high school, I kind of came to realize that I didn't really have any kind of structured feel for myself as far as how I felt. I consider myself gender fluid, or I guess bi gender might be more apt if that's just only like a man and woman thing. I think gender fluid reaches even further beyond that, but basically I don't feel like I fall into any specific gender norm. I've always been very intrigued by both male and female fashion, for example, or interest in general. I've never felt like I needed to latch onto one particular thing, and so I've always liked expressing myself both ways, and I've never really felt strongly either way. So that definitely plays into my sexual aspect and might be what led me to what is ultimately my primary niche thing I do as far as my own personal work, and that would be stuff within the transformation erotica realm. And when I was growing up and having these kind of questions about my identity, transformation porn was often like a very perfect escapism for me. It was kind of, guys turning into girls or fantastical creatures or whatever avenue you want to take it into. And it's also a realm where so many other like fetishes can kind of segue into it, or it's a varied fetish filled with a lot of different elements that can cross over. And I think being a very eclectic person like myself, I really latched onto that, and it just kind of grew more and more from there. And so much of the media I took in as I was growing up had transformation elements into it. A lot of 90s cartoons had transformation stuff that would happen in the shows. A lot of horror movies have like body horror and things like that I enjoy. So it kind of just evolved from there, I suppose. And of course, I, being someone who would cross-dress a lot, spoilers, the CD in my name is for cross-dresser.
Oh, okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. That explains a few things. All right. Excuse me. Please continue.
So there's that whole kind of idea of like making yourself look different, yada, yada. You get the idea. But basically, I've always held on to that fetish and that interest as I've gone on. And when I started taking my voiceover stuff more seriously, I was always very heavy into the transformation erotica community. I always liked indulging in it and talking with people in it. And I wanted to contribute some work to it as well. And there wasn't much out there as far as audio and stuff like that. Now, the idea for doing audio didn't really come until a later point. I do write stories as well. And I started out contributing my own content to that community through writing. I did a lot of erotic stories involving transformation. And over time, I just kind of the idea sparked in my head, like, there's not much audio stuff out there. I should do some audio play stuff. And being an audio editor myself and someone who was also freelance doing things like making sound effects for people, I thought this fits perfectly for me. And not many people are really going above and beyond and creating their own sound effects or really using sound effects to create a full-fledged scene. Like, my works sort of feel as if you were to take a movie, for example, and just take the video portion out of it, but all the sound effects and everything else still seem really full and complete. That's what I do, basically. I do audio plays with full-fledged sound effects that I use to try and help paint the scene. I don't tend to use music too much because I like them to be immersive. I just sort of have just a full-fledged sound. I do everything down to like the footsteps. If there's a fan in the room, I'm just very thorough about it. And of course, every little excruciating detail of the transformation itself, I love to capture through the sound. And so yeah, I kind of evolved from there. I kept getting better at it. I kept gaining more of an audience, and eventually I started making money off of it. And people, will commission me for stuff sometimes. I kind of took that as a platform to start voicing and not safe for work stuff. I was already doing a little bit of that to begin with. And I still do like audiobooks and things like that that are not safe for work. But as far as fully getting into more animation or, stuff where I'm voicing not safe for work animations and things of that nature, it wasn't until more recently. I voiced in a few CCAS stuff. I think that's how you pronounce their name. But I recently did a Ganondorf and Link, thing.
I don't like where this is going.
So basically I started that's where I am right now. I make money off of my more niche work that I create myself, and I get to voice in other people's work, safe for work and not safe for work, and I enjoy it greatly. I love especially when I get to voice in independent games. There's always such creativity at work in that realm. But yeah, that's where I am right now, and I'm happy with it.
Holy fucking shit, I have so many questions. Okay, first off, okay, you said earlier that you were into animation. You got into animation. How has that played out? Have you pursued animation? What techniques did you learn in school?
I used to be very much an artist in that sense of like, drawing and animation, but I haven't really done anything since I stopped pursuing it in college, unfortunately. I do still like to spend days sometimes sketching in my sketchbook, buildings and architecture in particular. I'm still very good at drawing that sort of thing. But figure drawing, people, I kind of fell out of sorts with that, where I'm not really good at it anymore. And those skills have kind of fallen to the wayside for me. But I always had a ton of different interests. I play the drums, I drew, I just had so many different interests. I love basketball. I live and breathe that a ton. I have so many interests. It was destined that some of them were going to fall to the wayside as I moved through my life. But animation was kind of one of them. But I always have a deep appreciation for it, and I can still methodically pick apart the technical aspects of animation. It's still something I very much study on the side on my free time, as far as just the technical elements of it, because I still find it a very fascinating art form.
Okay, what about your other skill that you've developed that you've said you've put a lot of time into and you actually make a profit off of? Sound effects. How do you make sound effects? What is that like?
It's interesting. Foley work is very fun, first off, but you have to be very creative with it and kind of think outside the box sometimes, because a lot of times the sounds being made, people don't realize just how black and white the thing that's making the sound is to what's it's supposed to be sounding like. It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's the obvious one I think most people know is like food is oftentimes used a lot in sound effects, particularly fruits and vegetables. You'll get a lot of squishy sounds and stuff, obviously, for fruits, and then a lot of crunchy, bone-breaking sounds with like vegetables and celery. If you're breaking celery, that can kind of simulate bones breaking. But you can also be very creative with sometimes I do for body impacts or certain like physically touching parts of the body elements, like say someone's pressing their hand against someone's chest or slapping them or punching them. I will sometimes use actual parts of my own body to like create part of that contact noise, but I don't go full-fledged, punching myself, because that's not even going to capture the full impact that you would need in a scene. Because people, if you're punching someone, it's not like it actually sounds like a huge, heavy thing that's happening. You want to kind of take a base contact sound, but you want to add to it or amplify it in some way. And oftentimes in film with punches, they might have the skin contact or the initial contact sound, but layered on top of it is just this kind of impactful like kind of a huge, like heavy hitting sound effect that kind of sells the shot when you're watching it. So there's a lot of elements to it. People will often handle certain sound effects differently, or the same sound effect differently than others. Everyone has their own method. I'm pretty heavy in using food, which is a commonplace amongst a lot of Foley people, but I love using books for impact sounds a lot, actually. Heavy paperback books will actually give you a lot of great thud sounds.
Sorry about that, folks. Had some technical difficulties, but we're back now. So, moving on from sound effects. Now, I know my fans are surely dying to know. I'm dying to know, because this is going to be fun. Tell me, Waver, about your cross-dressing. What's that like, and do you have any funny stories to share? Because I'm sure, with a lifestyle like that, you have some stories to tell.
I have stories of both the sexual variety and not sexual variety, but I'm not sure how far I should go for YouTube.
Well, YouTube can go fuck itself. It's going to censor and demonetize me either way, so let her rip.
Well, with my cross-dressing, I tend to, I have like certain fashions that I tend to stick to on both sides of the gender aisle. With my male outfits, I tend to go more grunge, punk rockish, or kind of like urban style, where with my female outfits, or goth as well. I do goth and female as well. Goth is probably my favorite fashion style, as it bridges the gap between both of them, as far as my wardrobe is concerned. And I also really enjoy just kind of like trendy urban style for female as well. I'm all over the place. I guess my favorite colors for outfits would be anything like black and red, purple. I really think pink and black go well together. Those colors just wonderfully contrast. But I think cosplaying also plays a big part of my cross-dressing. I go to a lot of conventions, and in fact I have a panel I do with a friend at a convention where we do adult, not safe for work readings of adult comics like manga and stuff like that, and that's always a big hit at those. I'm often cosplay cross-dressing at those ones because one of the ones we read is a comic involving a cross-dressing guy who ends up roping this other dude into a sexual encounter, and it turns out the cross-dressing guy who looks very submissive is actually a dom. So it's kind of a fun play to have me cross-dressing as well while I'm voicing that character. The last time I did that at a panel, I was actually cross-dressing as Astolfo from the Fate series, who is a cross-dressing character. He's the pink-haired one who's often referred to with like traps and stuff like that.
Oh, dear God, I know who you're talking about. Oh, man, I know a certain someone that's going to be very happy or very terrified to hear that. You know who you are watching. I'll send you pictures. Please continue.
Oh, my. But no, there was a funny thing that actually happened at a convention when I was dressing as Astolfo once, where I was at a vendor, and there was these group of 3 guys behind me that I think thought I was a woman, and they were just being very quiet, trying to like whisper, but I could clearly hear what they were saying behind me, and they were just kind of gawking at my outfit and like how I looked and like making jokes about it in like a kind of like playful way, and I'm just sitting there just soaking it in, just not even letting revealing myself at all, because I wanted to just see how far it would keep going. Eventually, I did do a little turnaround and revealed myself, and they were obviously a bit shocked. But one guy in particular had the greatest expression I've seen. They just had this extremely wide-eyed, mouth agape look, like they'd seen the face of God or something. Shock and awe. And it was so immediate too. He just went. It was great. It was worth it.
Oh my God. So basically, you reenacted a scene from an anime.
You could say that, yes. I think the most
Oh man, if only someone had taken video.
To stretch the limits of YouTube here, we could go with this story where I think the most eventful thing I've ever done dressed in one of my favorite gothic dresses was actually I had a girlfriend who was very experimental with me a lot, where we would often just take turns just trying to do some like weird fantasy for the other, and I got her to have sex in a graveyard when I was cross-dressing at my gothic outfit.
Can you repeat that?
We did the deed in a graveyard.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Graveyards are like my park, Sonny. I love them. I love walking around them, just chilling in them. They're my serene place.
Well, I can safely say, Waver, you are one of the most colorful characters I've ever had the pleasure of interviewing. Oh my!
Oh, thank you.
A fucking graveyard. Okay, that's something.
I did say I was a very eclectic person.
That's something I gotta put on the bucket list. Do it in a graveyard. That's an experience. Okay, well...
Put it near the top of the list.
Anything else to share?
I mean, there's a lot of stories I could probably go on with as far as my cross-dressing. I mean, most of them involve just, guys either being surprised or very very like what's the word I want to say, like hooty about it, I suppose, where they just give a lot of fun, playful support to seeing me, and I always enjoy that, I suppose. It beats more negative reactions you do sometimes get doing that in public, but as far as cross-dressing, but it is what it is.
I'm sorry you go through that, man, but it's good that you take this in stride.
Well, I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. I just go out there and be who I am and just try to enjoy myself. I mean, obviously I don't try to overdo it in certain areas where I know there will be confrontation, but I kind of pick and choose spots where I know, like, I can just go here and be comfortable and do my thing.
Oh, good on you, man. Good on you. Good on you. Now, how about we get to know you a bit more? So, I know you're a gamer. How about you share some of your favorite video games, some of your favorite genres?
Favorite video games. I do. One of my favorite single players is probably Nier Automatopoeia. That game is I like hack and slash games, but I also just really find that game tells a very humanist, philosophical tale in a way that I don't see much in games, and I really enjoy how the narrative plays through the gameplay, kind of in an Undertale sort of way. I love it when games can really tell the story through their gameplay. In a way that, only games can, and that's one of those games where I feel it does that. I really enjoy Dragon's Crown a lot. That's one of my favorite co-op style games. I adore Dragon's Crown. I've put way too much time into that one.
I'm sure the character designs are also a big plus for that game, eh? The Witch, the Barbarian. Yeah, I know my Dragon's Crown. Don't you all judge me.
Oh, they are all great. They are all fantastic. The one I play the most religiously, though, was definitely the Elf. Super thick thighs.
Well, that's all the characters, ain't it?
Well, yeah, but the Elf, it's just that kind of like compact body with the thighs just almost accentuates them more.
Fair enough. Oh, any other games?
Other than that, I'm really big into fighting games. Really into fighting games. A lot of things like Soul Calibur, Guilty Gear is really fun with its over-the-top metal game design of all the characters and the music, and it's just a really fun game, too. I love light gun games and shoot-'em-up games. Arcade games in general are great. I used to play arcade games a lot. And I'm happy that I actually have a really nice arcade near me, so I can still kind of go there and have that experience. They are kind of dying a lot here in the U.S.
Oh, they're dying everywhere, man. I can't find any arcades here in Canada, so lucky you, man.
Japan seems to be the one that's still very prominent with them. I actually visited Japan for about 2 months, and there are arcades aplenty over in the cities there, and I ate those up. Oh my god, I love them.
Oh man, wow, jeez, you have lived quite the life. Holy shit, not gonna lie, a bit envious, bit jealous.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Japan for a good 2 months. And, there was one time I actually backpacked along the coast of Chile with a friend for a few months.
Oh my god.
That was a fun trip. Oh god, the various landscapes that, like, country goes through as you're, like, going down it, it's amazing. It just changes from, like, desert to forest.
Oh man, I know the most interesting man in the world is a meme, but Jesus Christ, man, you are like one of the most interesting men in the world. Anyways, please continue your favorite video games.
I really enjoy a lot of older shooters, like, I guess Halo's kind of old by this point, but around Halo time and a little bit before that, Serious Sam, like the old Counter-Strike. I love the Half-Life games, Quake games. I always enjoy those old 90s shooters, early 2000s shooters a lot. And I do enjoy horror games.
What about Doom? I noticed the lack of Doom there. What about Doom, eh?
I do like Doom. It's just not on the top of my list, but I do like Doom. Do not worry. Doom, Duke Nukem, I like them all.
Okay, you've lost and gained a few points from me there, but I'll take it. Continue.
Blow it out your ass. was a terrible Duke impersonation. I think it's because I had my headphones on my throat. I couldn't, actually...
Oh, jeez.
Eat shit and die. Hail to the king, baby.
Not bad, not bad.
I don't think I've ever really tried doing that voice, so yeah, it's not going to come out right.
Ooh, more ways than one. To segue from video games, what about your favorite movies? Favorite movie genres?
Horror, actually, is a big one for me.
Oh.
I really enjoy the kind of varied themes and subject matter that genre can tackle. Oftentimes it dives into very, philosophical, sociological things. A lot of taboo subjects that, other genres don't always tackle or tackle with as much, outward expression or just, blunt nature that horror often does. And I really enjoy that. The kind of, almost escapist elements that it tackles with, violence and fear and all that. Yeah.
Horror is a special genre. Horror is a very special genre.
It is.
And, I wouldn't say it's underrated. It's pretty beloved, but it's not as, what's the word? It's not as respected by normies, let's say. Maybe that's a good term for it.
Right, and I think part of that is because a lot of mainstream horror necessarily isn't of the kind of horror genre where it's having something more to say. It's really more about just kind of making you spooked, and that's about it.
And jump scares aplenty.
But you have some horror movies that have reached more of a status.
Oh, of course.
Well respected, like The Shining and stuff.
Of course,
like that.
But there's those horror movies that are based around
Rosemary's Baby, things like that.
Oh yeah. But there's so many subgenres within the horror movie genre. You have the monster movie.
Oh, yes.
You have the practical and special effects flick that's just all about showing off what the special effects team can do. There's the psychological horror where is there a monster? Isn't there? Is it all in their head? You can do so much with horror.
Oh yeah, and I watch not just with movies, but horror, but with movies in general. Things from all different eras. I have a silent horror film, The Phantom Carriage, on Blu-ray. It's impressive knowing that they were able to make a ghost carriage in film back then with not much in the way of special effects. Phantasm, Candyman, I watch them all, man. I watch a lot of really shitty B-movie horror films like Skullduggery and stuff too. But,
oh my goodness.
Hellraiser, I watch all of them.
Oh, man. Dude, you're the bomb. Jesus Christ, how are you this awesome?
You'd be shocked how many Blu-rays I own of really bad B-movies. Like Samurai Cop and Your Hunter from the Future and stuff like that.
Oh my god, the nerds in my comment section are freaking out right now. All these old B movies and guilty pleasures. Oh my god, all this obscure stuff.
I really enjoy martial arts films too. I actually recently just picked up Police Story 1 and 2 from the Criterion sale that was going on with those Jackie Chan Hong Kong films. Got Dragon's Inn, which was released on Blu-ray. Criterion's been releasing a lot of nice Blu-rays lately of martial arts films, and I appreciate that. I love Godzilla films and giant monster films as well.
Oh my god. Stop being so perfect, God! I love you. My audience is gonna love you. Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I watch, yeah, again, everything. Things from, Werner Herzog and his documentaries and films to freaking Scorsese with The Aviator or Silence to, The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China. I watch everything. I just love indulging in films. Even things like Drumline. Drumline's a guilty pleasure of mine, even.
Oh my goodness. You are a treasure. You are an absolute treasure.
Freaking watching anime films like Princess Mononoke or the Kara no Kyokai films or fucking Kiki's Delivery Service, whatever. I'll watch it all. I love Satoshi Kon films. Speaking of anime films, Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress. That guy, he is a film auteur. Oh my god, that guy just does really good animated films. But I watch even animated films from France. I love animation in general. It's just a big. Obviously, I stated how big of a deal it was for me, but French animation puts out some really fun stuff like April and the Extraordinary World. There's a lot of great animated films coming out from there as well. And even other parts of the country, like, there's this one there's a really messed up, as far as like a depressing animated film called Bird Boy that I highly recommend. That one is that movie wrecks you. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. I'll keep that in mind. Oh man, my mind is going to some dark places with a title like that, Bird Boy. Oh man.
It's funny because the visual style of it you wouldn't think it would literally lend itself to such a depressing subject matter, but it really plays up the whole idea of this kind of innocence being lost in this world kind of thing that the movie goes for, and it hits you. I really like that film.
I've noticed a trend, if you don't mind me saying, Waver. You seem to be very interested and drawn to storytelling and just material in general that is very dark and adult and mature in nature.
Oh, yes.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I fucking indulge in really hammy, over-the-top bullshit, too.
Oh, yes! We've been over that!
As my movie collection would speak to. But, the thing about dark subject matter for me is just, I always have this mindset about the world where oftentimes it's the imperfections that help bring out the beauty in it, and I think that element, and it's my inner goth speaking, I suppose, but I just find dark subject matter helps you appreciate the good things more, and also just brings out a strange beauty to things. I don't know how to really fully explain it better than that. It helps you appreciate other things more fully when you see just how dark things can be, or just how much the dark side of things can really cause a struggle with the light, I suppose. Like, people struggling against darkness and coming out from it a better person, or getting through it somehow. It just kind of feels more empowering, And on the same side, there's also the darker machinations within my mind where I'm like, I just have really fucked up fantasies and things like that are in my mind, that are just strictly in my mind, that, watching things that are dark kind of presents itself as an almost escapist element too. It's kind of like how people will watch, I mean, in general, films are just an escapist element for most people, or stories. People want to get wrapped up in not only just good things, but also bad things as well, because it kind of feels like this forbidden thing that they can indulge in that they won't ever indulge in themselves in real life, It's a fun experience.
I see. Very interesting, my friend.
Hope I explained that well enough. It's kind of like my mind gets all over the place with that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of I'm trying to explain it as best I could.
You explained it perfectly well. I understand completely. But now it's time for that part of the interview where I ask you some silly bullshit questions. You ready?
Sure.
Tits or ass?
Oh God. Oh. I'm gonna have to go with ass, because not only do I love a good ass on a woman, but I love a good ass on a man, and oftentimes the ass on the man is one of the main features, so I think ass pops up a bit more often for me as a point of interest than probably the boobs, so.
Really? Interesting choice.
Oh, I do love the shape of the shape of a good ass. I will admit. It's probably the one thing I will notice the most often.
All right. Whew. Okay, how would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
Oh dear. Well, I suppose I'd have to dip into the well of knowledge I've gained watching all the post-apocalyptic works I've either watched or read in my life. Because I imagine I imagine it would be fairly simple, as in theory, as in you'd want to find a group of people you could sort of team up with or shack up with, find a relatively stable place to kind of barricade or just keep yourself hidden from the zombie onslaught. Make some kind of barrier around that area, and it would have to be a spot where you could cultivate the land or find food, of course. I would think something like near a dam or some kind of military base would obviously be the go-to location you'd want to seek out if it hasn't been claimed by anyone already. Things that are heavily fortified, like prisons or whatever. I don't know. I wouldn't go the mall route though, because I've seen Dawn of the Dead. Doesn't really work out too well. But then again, it could turn out like Dead Rising, where you could just have a fucking ball in it.
Yeah, video games! I don't think they're a proper representation of a real-life zombie apocalypse, but I get where you're coming from. Just strap some chainsaws onto a boat paddle, see what happens.
No, I suppose I'm thinking of it pretty practically, though. Yeah, I'd find some really barricaded, well-fortified area that I could still, use the land to make, grow food, stuff like that. It's... create a community there with people that can fend for themselves and fend together.
Aw, how selfless of you.
And I shall be its queen! No, I'm sorry.
All
I shall
right.
be queen
All right.
of this land.
Okay, on a more lighthearted question, will you be supporting me in my upcoming conquest of the world?
Oh, but of course, sweetie, of course.
Oh, excellent, excellent. What skills can you bring to the table for world domination?
Well, I'm actually, aside from being basketball being one of my primary, athletic things I like to indulge in, I am also very, well-versed in knife combat. I do practice knife combat as well as martial arts. I am a black belt in Taekwondo. After I was done with that, I sort of self-taught myself other forms of martial arts, like Jeet Kune Do, which is the Bruce Lee form of martial arts.
Okay, hold it. This is supposed to be a joke bullshit question, but now I gotta ask, are you being serious with all that?
I'm being serious. Oh
my god, why are you so awesome? How are you so awesome? You're into all this cool shit. You do all this cool shit. You're so much cooler than me. Jesus Christ.
I was telling you, I'm a very eclectic person. I love indulging in a ton of different hobbies. I just always partake in stuff. But I've kind of incorporated that into my workouts every week. I do I practice martial arts stuff in my knife combat.
Oh my fucking god. You're showing me up, dude. I can't compete. I can't fucking compete with you. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking screwed.
When I was in classes for Taekwondo,
everyone's going to be asking you to take over the channel.
Oh no, I couldn't do that. I don't want to. You have a lovely channel. I don't want to take over it.
Oh, don't lie. You know it's bullshit. Okay. Next question. This will be the final silly bullshit question. What would make the perfect brunch for you?
Let's see. I love me scrambled eggs with a little bit of butter to it, so I'd probably have that. I just kind of eat those plain. I don't put pepper or anything on that, but I would have eggs scrambled. I would have bacon with avocado on a two pieces of toast with some jelly jam in there. I know I'm disgusting. Jelly with avocado doesn't sound right. I'm disgusting. And then for my more lunch side of the meal, I'd probably have a white shell pasta of sorts. It doesn't have to be cooked or not. I would just like some white sauce with it. And that could be various things, like whether that's a kind of a cheesy sauce or some kind of ranchy sauce. Just something that I could make a kind of a salad mixed with the pasta with. Or some kind of hot dish that would be mixed with the pasta. Yeah, either one of those two routes with the pot. And then I would probably have either some fish or something like duck. I love duck a lot. So maybe some duck with rice. And that would be my ideal meal.
Fuck, now I'm hungry.
Maybe probably some wild rice with it.
Oh my god, so much good food. Oh my goodness. Good answer. Now, I like to do something a little special at the end of all these interviews. Waver, do you have any questions for me? Can be as serious or as stupid as you like.
Here, I'll ask one of my darker questions. Because I know that, and I'll give you the answer to it myself first, because I have a really hilarious scenario about this.
Oh dear.
If you were to think of an ideal way to do and I mean it, a joke suicide, like something that's supposed to be like funny to you as far as like the scenario, what would it be? For me, my joke suicide scenario would be, I would have a subway station of some sort, somewhere, it doesn't matter, and I would be riding my bike, going down like the stairs or something, hopping about, and I would just run the bike over towards an oncoming train while yelling at the top of my lungs, my brakes don't work, and then just fly.
Holy mother of God! Jesus, man!
Dark comedy hour, here we go.
Okay.
Now you have to answer.
Yes. Okay. Something, okay. Well,
I threw a curveball, trust me, I know.
I would like to have something staged where it looks like wait, it has to be suicide? Or just killed?
Or maybe just... Or sure, like just some kind of violent joke like scenario, maybe that would play out.
Okay.
Like where it's you intentionally wanted to create this scenario because you thought it would be fun.
Okay. Getting mauled to death by a bear in a public bathroom.
Would it play out where like you're outside, people see you enter the bathroom, and they just see a bear like casually walk into the bathroom, and you just hear terrified screams start raining out. Everyone slowly kind of backs up.
Yeah, pretty much. I also had the idea of like perhaps having a hidden camera. Like I go to a toilet, I open the toilet door, and there's a bear behind the door, and it attacks me. I figured it's just funny because why is there a bear in that bathroom? What was it doing there?
That reminds me of this really terrible Dreamcast game. I think it was on the Dreamcast. It was based off the Ring movie. It was called like Ring Terror's Realm or something. In that game, like literally all the monsters would just come out of the bathrooms. It was weird. You would just open, no, I'm not even joking. You would open a bathroom door, and there would just be a monster in there every single time.
I'm glad my answer could bring up another obscure horror reference.
Oh my God.
All right, hit me with another question.
Anyways, I guess I should ask you what your favorite games are.
Oh, okay. When it comes to favorite games, there's Doom, but there's also Doom. I also really like Doom. I don't know if I already mentioned Doom. Oh, and my all-time favorite, Doom.
I thought the last one was going to be like Puyo Pop Fever or something. throw a curveball there. It's actually Uniracers. Uniracers is the best racing game ever created. Like, oh my God.
But in all seriousness, well, yes, my favorite game of all time is easily Doom 2016. I adore that game. It's the most fun I've ever had. It's the most fun I've ever had playing a video game. Just playing that game gives me endless amounts of joy. It's an easy way to detox and de-stress. But outside of Doom, like other favorite shooters I have are like Titanfall 2. Love Titanfall 2.
Oh, nice.
Some other of my favorite games, the Mass Effect trilogy, the Dead Space trilogy. Also really fun. A game I really like, but it's pretty obscure. Divinity Dragon Commander.
Oh, what's that one about?
Divinity Dragon Commander. It's a game where you play as an up-and-coming emperor who can also transform into a dragon. It's a really cool mix of RTS and like RPG and dialogue choices. You can marry a princess, and also the option of like a real-time strategy RTS where you're controlling an army of steampunk mechs, but at any time you can transform into this third-person action gameplay of flying around as a dragon with a jetpack.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. That's surprising.
Oh my god. I am
Wow.
so shocked that game never, like, picked up or became a cult classic. Like, I feel like I'm the only one that knows about it and loves it and talks about it. Check it out, man. It's on Steam. You can get it at cheap price. It's so good. It's such a fantastic game.
Is it on? Okay, it's on Steam. I will definitely check it out then. All right, you'll have to link it to me. Text me the name again afterwards because I know I'll forget.
Divinity Dragon Commander. Dragon Commander. All you gotta look up is Dragon Commander.
Okay.
Okay, hit me with another.
You're not a weeb, but are you a weeb?
No.
Be truthful now. What anime?
That's a
have you watched?
hard no. What anime have I watched? Okay, the good ones, the only ones that are good. So, Berserk,
Good
Cowboy
choice.
Bebop, Full Metal Alchemist.
We got a badass over here.
But shit, there was also a bit more of an obscure one, but it was okay. Claymore. Shit, what else?
Claymore. I liked the manga of that a lot. I never watched the show, but I read the comics for a while. I liked the setting a lot and a lot of the characters, but it never really developed into a fully engaging thing for me in the long run. It starts off very well, but then it kind of drags after a while for me personally. But it's still a very good one.
And I think, shit, I can't think of any other good anime. Everything else I've ever seen has been pretty garbage.
I wish they'd make a good anime adaptation of Blade of the Immortal. That's a really good comic series, and I'd love to see a really good anime adaptation of that about like this immortal swordsman guy.
Sounds like a classic tale. Sounds like a very classic tale.
Blade of the Immortal. They made a live-action movie adaptation of it recently, I know that. I've yet to watch it, though. I need to do that.
Okay, hit me with one more. Come on, give me something.
If there was one trend you could get rid of in the world, what would it be?
Oh, God, there's so many.
It could be just like a current trend, like something
Oh,
in the
God, there's so many. There's so fucking many. Wait, actually, before I answer this, define trend.
It could be anything from like a kind of like a pop culture like thing that's happening a lot, like say superhero films, or even something like a fidget spinner, which is like an item or something. Just some kind of general trend where, you know, everyone's saying this or whatever. You know, it's any kind of trend.
Do ideologies count as trends?
I guess I'm thinking more of a modern day, like it's just happening like currently for the most part. But the ideology is fine too if that works into it.
Excellent. Then the answer is communism. Well, Waver, this has
In
been...
Soviet Russia,
Oh my goodness.
cross-dresser interviews you.
Well...
Terrible. I will never say that again.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's on the internet now. People are going to quote you. It's too late.
Oh, it can live on in infamy for all I care, but I'm just never going to do it again.
Well, Waver, this has been a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for dropping by. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. Now, if anyone else wants to go and check you out and support you and your work, where do they have to go?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of different sites I post my work on. The primary ones would be for my audios, like Pornhub, but obviously you can't link to that. So
No,
the best way
I
to find
cannot
most
link
of my
that.
things in,
I
like,
cannot
a
link that.
concrete
Anyone in the
list.
comments, don't even fucking ask. I cannot link that. You go look that up yourselves.
No, the easiest way to find all my stuff linked, you know, where to go to find my stuff, it's all listed in a pinned post on my Twitter. That basically points you to every location you can find me, pretty much. It'll point you to my itch store, my P-Hub, my blogger where I post a lot of my erotic stories at. You know, it'll point you every direction you need to. It's also where you'll sometimes see me tweet projects I'm in or whatever, you know.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, links to everything WaverCD will be in the description and in the comments section down below. Links to his Twitter, to his Patreon. No links to Pornhub, though. You're out of luck when it comes to that. So, links to everything legal. I can give you will be in the description in the comment section, and you all better be sure to click on them because you know I'll find you.
I will find you, and I will kill you.
He means it. WaverCD is now your Lord and Savior. I'll give praise to him, follow him, support him, give him money. Anyways, thank you again, Waver.
Thank you for having me. Bye.